got to record everybody. We can see everyone pretty well, so.
Okay.
Everybody's got.
You're gonna open the window for everybody so I can see who's moving and seconding?
I think that's on your end. We're all open here.
Do that.
Yeah.
I think
Press
it's the
that
top.
button?
Gallery
top-
view.
Yeah, top left, Mike. It says.
Yeah, I pressed the button and everybody showed up.
So if you got the gallery view for all, view all.
All right, very good. All right, everybody's here. It's 3:01. I'll call this meeting to order. Thank you all for attending. Hope you're all safe and enjoying being stuck at home.
Some of us aren't at home.
You're not at home, are at home?
Well, I am right now, but I zoomed home. I've been at work all the way
Okay.
through.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been at work too. I just get to do it from home. Lucky me.
Oh, yeah, no, I have to literally drive in and
Yeah.
be there
Okay.
present.
All right, we'll get to it. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest around the table? I recall I would need hands in order to notice that, but I don't see any hands, so we'll move along. And I'll need to approval of the agenda, and I need a mover and seconder to recommend the approval of the agenda. So I see Frank and Kim. All right, all in favor of approving the agenda as printed? Excellent, thank you. And then I need mover and seconder for adopt the previous minutes. And looking for hands, I see Lloyd and Harley, and that's great. All in favor? Good. Any business arising from the minutes? Somebody wants to talk about? No?
I think we have a 5.1, Mike.
Well, I've got my window. We got a 5.1 library.
Yeah,
support.
library support for seniors.
Yep. We'll just move on to library support for seniors. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess that's me.
Excellent.
I've been busy with a lot of committees lately, dealing with seniors issues. Retired Teachers for Ontario and Council of Aging, Greg Bruce. And we're finding that there's myriad issues, especially with the COVID-19. We find that there's terrible gaps in meeting people's needs. And so I'm just thinking a lot of things that we want to do and try to do seem to overlap with other institutions and other organizations, and particularly libraries, since I'm connected to those in some way. And so I'm trying to figure out, especially with our strategic plan coming up, that what and how can our libraries support seniors in our community? That would be the question I asked. The last time we talked, Kathy Lee talked about the intellectual, social, and physical needs principles and those kinds of things. And I'd like to pursue that discussion.
Okay. How do you want to do that?
Well, without turning into a information session, a lecture session, I'll just talk to you about the Council of Aging of Gray and Bruce and what they've been doing, and maybe we can see how we could support them. The Council of Aging of Gray Bruce started about 2014 in Owen Sound, and it involves the 17 communities in Gray Bruce. Goals are to provide older adults in Gray Bruce with a platform to make their collective voice heard at a municipal, county, and provincial levels, and to encourage municipalities to embed the age-friendly community concepts in their strategic plans to resolve issues and concerns of their older adult residents. And so we have a number of age-friendly community needs, and some of these needs sort of overlap with the kinds of services libraries provide: communication and information, for example, community support, social participation, social inclusion. All of these things sort of blend into our mission statements. And so I'm wondering specifically, what can we do? Presently, we're working on things called senior centers without walls, and what these are just attempts to communicate with people that don't have internet. And it's, this is the day of the internet, but especially in rural communities, especially up in the Bruce, it's very difficult to get internet connections. And some people are not, especially seniors, are not familiar with this technology. And so we've gone back to some older technologies such as the telephone and the radio. And Senior Centers Without Walls uses the telephone, and we do presentations, and there's a calendar. There's one in Lions Head, one Senior Center Without Walls, and one in Thornbury. And what happens is that we have a calendar of programs, and we set it up just like a Zoom exists, except it's on a telephone, and we have discussions. And so what we need here is more of them, actually, and more participants and programming and more communication to get people aware of this, since it's difficult to get to people because it's just the radio and it's just the telephone.
Okay. Does this dovetail with any of the initiatives from the CARP, Canadian Association of Retired Persons? Do they do anything like this?
There's all sorts of overlap, Mike. I mean, everybody's trying to do something for somebody, and it's just like a scattered approach, and we need a collective approach.
Well, that's what I thought CARP would have been. But I guess we're drilling down to more immediate, geographically more immediate needs. And
yeah,
so, yeah, you've got a governance body.
Yeah, the Council of Aging Grey Bruce has this organizational thing. What they'd really like to have is in every community is a committee that is a collective voice for the community, needs of the community, serve the community, and talk to council and talk to the Council of Aging, and have a person from every community represent that committee and build it from there. So it's really grassroots.
Yeah.
And serves local needs.
Frank, how do you see us as the library or the library board? How do you see us facilitating or assisting in this?
Well, we could support projects, we could begin projects, we could do lots of things. I mean, these things are just grassroots things that people decide to do, right? And so we could decide to do something. We could build a Senior Center Without Walls for our community.
I'd just like to throw out that the community safety and well-being exercise that like Meaford is doing, one strictly focused on the municipality of Meaford, whereas other municipalities in the county have largely gone with a larger shotgun approach through the county. So I think we should at least register this concern with that, and that will get it on the table for attention, and specifically seniors without internet. Like, I think you're talking about a very underserved group, or a group that is being excluded at the moment. So that
Exactly.
would, so maybe we have not finalized this report yet. Probably Harley could speak to it. But I know who we would talk to in our staff at the municipality to make sure that this is included.
That's good, Ross. And I wanted to just bring it over to Kathy and Lynn, and maybe you guys have seen some of the need come in the doors at the library. Can you comment on what Frank and Ross are talking about?
Yeah, I think Frank's right. There's a lot of different groups that are sort of not as collective in their approach, but just to give you, since Frank brought this up at the last board meeting, we have sort of really nailed it down and talked at a few of our team meetings about it. So, we talked about how it's going to fit, the CVIT program, which is the tax program that's starting up in March, and how maybe we need to take an extra effort to call some seniors and maybe really get in touch. Frank was kind enough to share that calendar and the contact information with us. So Amy is reaching out to the lady from the VBO that's put that calendar together, I believe, Frank. Can't remember.
Yes, Pamela is the first name.
Yes,
Can't
and
remember the second.
we're actually hoping to even sort of talk about the library, being added to that calendar sort of thing through the telephone, so that, whoever is listening sort of can hear about what we can offer. And then beyond that, we have reached out to 55 Plus Club again, just to see if there's something we can get started in that route, that way again, so that at least we're targeting. Unfortunately, Koha, we don't track ages for patrons. So I think we're really going to have to think about, partnering to move this forward so that we are more targeted in our approach.
Okay.
So, but I think that we can absolutely, by working with partners, I think that's really what we do best as a library board and library staff, and sort of starting from there.
Yeah, Frank, what exactly are you looking for from a municipality?
I'm looking for participation in the broader conversation. And I think as libraries, we can participate in this conversation. Like I sit on the Grey Bruce Council as a guest chair for RTO, but I don't see any reason that libraries couldn't sit on that council.
For sure. Do you have a champion that municipally could start this initiative, or is that you?
Oh, that's me.
Okay. All right. So you're looking for participation and blessing, and I guess if we had open doors, we could certainly host something, right, Kathy? We can make rooms available, but and I get what you're saying now. The problem is we can't have anybody in the door, so we have to try and reach them in another way.
Yeah, what I'm doing, Mike, is I'm just trying to make this conversation broader and even and more pointed at the same time, and that I've got the time, and maybe I can sort of bring these together and have these marvelous institutions working to a single purpose. It would be great to get something going locally here.
Okay, that's good. I saw your hand up, Mr. Lloyd.
Thanks. I guess I'm a question, the role of the library. I think, are we really looking to be the lead in this particular situation and starting something, or are we simply being a resource to something and providing for an agency or a group that wishes to receive different or again, receive a service in a different way? I'm not sure if I'm wording this right, but I'm not sure if it's the mandate of the library to be creating special organizations. However, providing them with room, providing them with service that the library can do, I think is more our mandate. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure or clear what you're looking for either, Frank.
I agree with you, Lloyd. Again, this is new territory for me. I'm just working it through. And but if I can talk to you again about the Council of Aging Grey Bruce, there's many partners involved: Active Lifestyles, Public Health.
Sorry, I'm not hearing Frank.
Health Center. Devon, there's all sorts of organizations that are on the council and speak on the council. And what we do is we get together once a month and we look at issues through the perspectives of our organizations. And so libraries are organizations, right?
Right.
Yep.
And we serve.
Okay.
Just like other, but not particularly health-wise, but social, communication, education.
Yep.
And that seems to be what's lacking here. Lots of health, but let's get to the social and things. And we could sit there. I mean, it's just a person relaying information and finding opportunities.
Okay, I saw Harley's hand up and then Nancy. You're muted, Harley.
Not coming through.
There you go. You're muted again. You got to slow down your button pushing.
Yeah. All right. Now that must be on now. Okay. Well, thanks, Frank. Thanks for bringing this up. I can see this working in with our community safety and well-being committee, and as Ross mentioned, that is strictly a municipality Meaford group, as opposed to the vast majority of other municipalities in Grey and Bruce that decided they would go together on this. But our committee, I don't think they've even met yet because of the pandemic problems. But to me, this is, this may be a fit. I can see maybe some connection with our accessibility committee, our local municipal committee that we have for that, and it has been going. Again, we're shut down, but I can see the library playing a role here. But I think we would only be one link in the chain of this bigger group, and all we need is some good, healthy times to put a lot of these ideas into place. Thanks.
Thanks, Harley. Nancy?
Hear me? No? No?
Barely. We
It's
could
showing
hear you,
muted,
but not
Nancy.
well.
Okay, so I'll just come up closer maybe. Is that better?
That's better if you're not slouching.
Okay. Practice my posture. Okay, so I have two ideas. One, specifically Kathy and Lynn, are you aware of patrons who would regularly take out books from the library who you don't hear from now because they don't have internet access or they don't use the internet, and whether or not a list of these people could be compiled and then phoned and books delivered to people that may be really anxious for a new book but have no way of obtaining one. So that's one idea. And the other was, yesterday, as I know you're aware, Barb Klumpus was on CFOS radio, and a number of the questions were about the library. So I was thinking there are a lot of seniors probably listed as CFOS and communicating through, if one of the librarians was a guest on CFOS, that might be another way of reaching people.
Well, that is actually a great idea for Frank in his initiative to get on CFOS. I'm not sure it's the library's job to do that much outreach, and certainly a telephone campaign would add a huge task to the staff now. But your point about getting on the radio and asking neighbors of other elders to go and convey the message, I suppose, Frank.
Mhm. Again, yes, it's very important that we get the message out and contact these people that aren't getting the information. And that would be a great idea, yeah.
Kathy, is that your hand?
Yes, yeah, sorry, Mike. If I could just add to the community safety and well-being plan, as a staff resource, we have Hannah on there. I'm sure most of you met, and obviously Councillor Kentner and Greenfield would know this. And Margaret is our accessibility committee coordinator as well. So both of them I'm meeting with on the 27th, so next week. And we sort of just thought we'd have a brainstorming session. We worked really closely with Margaret on the building, on the accessibility options we could provide for the new library. So we have a really good relationship with the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And then as well with Hannah, we're looking forward to hearing a little bit more about the community safety and well-being plan, because we don't know a lot about that yet, but I'm sure we can work with Hannah to show what the library information is sharing and resources that we can provide to that plan as well to move ahead, especially when it's specifically for the community, municipality of Meaford, which is fantastic. I think the other piece that Nancy just spoke of, we did have a team meeting yesterday, and we talked via Zoom, and we talked about really identifying, actually started just a basic draft form that we can add some patrons that maybe we haven't seen in the last. So it's exactly what Nancy's talking about. or some that we've had that have called in and basically are just really struggling with how to put a hold on a library material, or, you know, so that we can just call them. We give them as much time as we can on the phone, but if we haven't seen them for a while, I think we can reach out, and we certainly have permissions to do that through the library membership form, to be calling them for library business. So, you know, we plan to use actually my office so that it shows up as Meaford Library on their phone. There won't be a concern that it's not somebody, you know, like if they do have a display option. If they don't, I'm sure they'll recognize one of the voices that will be giving them a call. And then we just really planned on having almost a bullet point list to be see what guides the conversation. We certainly don't want to be, you know, pummeling them with any too much information, but we want to know that they can call us at any time, and just giving them the library number. And we joked about, you know, like being a detective and handing your card at the end and saying, if you think of anything, give us a call, you know, anything else. So there is a plan to do that. I can't promise we'll get through, you know, 4,500 active card holders by any means, but we were hoping to almost set up some sort of system for a few of us to reach out to some of the people that we haven't seen in a while. So we're looking forward to that. And even just offering them, you know, the tax program coming up, some of the different programs we have available, how to place a hold on a book, like just some of the simple, you know, yeah, we haven't seen you in a while with your membership, we can renew that for you. You know, doesn't necessarily mean we have to give them online resources, but just that connection phone call. Very
good. Very good. Well, it sounds like there's lots of support. Lloyd, go ahead.
Sorry, just to quickly add, Mike, I like all of this. I mean, these are things that we can do. I unfortunately, if you don't have the information that says this is their age, that's a real problem. Yeah. I would suggest something that you have to do some sort of advertising. And if they don't have internet, then it's not going to be social media. It's going to be a poster. It's going to be a mail out, whatever it is. But you reach out. You reach out and you try and find those people that do not have internet access, and then you tell them to call you, and you put together a one-page thing that you can mail to them, or they can come and pick up. And it tells them, you know, it's like our monthly update on the programs, except in advance, and perhaps some ideas of what the new books are in the library this month or whatever. I don't think it's a huge deal, except for finding out who it is. That's the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Agreed. Ross? You're muted, Ross. Ross?
There, our laneway is being blown at the moment, and I didn't want to, you know, create an uproar. Just a couple of things. I'm always ready to tell people how powerful radio is, and you have to understand that these people, the good news about these people is there's three things. First of all, they all have a landline versus a cell phone. Second thing is they listen to AM radio. So there's only one, 560. And then the third thing is, don't go and forget it here now. This is important. Oh yeah, I think it's quite easy to reach these people actually through the age-friendly, this organization, because I did some work with them when they were first starting up. Maybe I want to say the best part of 10 years ago. They must have a complete list of the people who are affected by these problems.
Are they allowed to share them? Are they allowed, with privacy, are they allowed to share them?
Well, it's their project, so I would think that they would be more than happy to, you know, assist in reaching out to those people.
Well, and I think that's sort of, Mike, if I could just add, like, I think that's like what I said earlier about the partnership thing. If we connect with, you know, the people doing the Senior Center Without Walls, and we are able to do a program via phone to anyone that is listening through there, and then maybe we do like almost a multifaceted approach where we can get, you know, onto the radio maybe a little bit. We can build it into our strategic plan. We can work with Hannah and Margaret through accessibility and community safety and well-being, and then we can maybe reach out to Age Friendly, because if we're a part of them and they're doing a program, the library can be a main partner in that. And it's not necessarily getting their personal information, because we wouldn't be able to share that either, but it's definitely pushing out some information that we're there and we're only a phone call away.
Very good. That's great. Well, sounds like there's a lot of things that'll dovetail here and everybody's willing and able and lots of ideas around the table. So Frank, there shouldn't be any difficulty with finding resources. It's just getting over this situation and putting it all together. And we'll do what we can, I think is what I heard.
And I thank you for your time and to hear my plea here. And I've just got something percolating, and let's just keep it percolating. That'd be great.
Thanks for planning ahead for all of us seniors to be.
Yikes.
Anything further on that issue? Okay, I'm going to move along to 5.2, the strategic plan for the next 4 years, 2021, 2025. I'll let Kathy, she put it on the agenda, so you get to start with that.
Sure. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. We will have a strategic plan of achievements report like you've seen in the past. It's something that we've started working on, so you'll see it at the next meeting. So all the statistics and everything, how we've met some of the goals and objectives throughout the last year for 2020 will be in there as best we could. And then I really wanted to talk about maybe first steps for the strategic plan during COVID. So it's not as easy to pull focus groups together and get everyone involved, but I think that's a very important part of the process. So I wanted to maybe see if the board was open to, I know with previous boards, we've done a legacy document, and I don't know if this board found it helpful, like when the past board left and had this sort of roll up summarized information paperwork that would say, even in this case, what we met in the past 4 years from 2016 to 2020, it would have been. And then maybe that's our starting point, because we're kind of floundering when we can't all get in rooms together, and that we have some time to digest. I can certainly put the 2020 strategic plan achievements report together, and then I have the rest of them here, like the 17, 18, 19. So I think with 4 documents, we could really put a good summarized legacy document, I don't know if that's what you want to call it, to start the next strategic plan.
Yeah, that's great. And I think when you see the old reports, it also inspires you to think about things that we have achieved, and it causes you to think in different ways. So there's value in seeing the previous reports that I recall from the years that I've spent there. So yes, if you could do that. Does anybody have any comments about that?
Great.
I think that's agreement. Yeah, it is difficult to do these things without sitting in a room with big whiteboard around it, but and then we meet virtually for a couple of hours every month. It does not inspire a whole lot of strategic thinking. So we will have to do our best, but we'll start with that report that you've offered, Kathy. I think that's great. And then what we could do is reply to that if it comes by email, and just throw our thoughts down each and individually and saying, well, here's what I think, here's what I think. We're going to get a lot of commonality, I think, but it would also be interesting to see what comes out of it that not everybody was thinking about. Further comments on that? Yeah, what do you think is what do you want as a timeline? This is, again, it's a big challenge, because we want to plan for 4 years, but we can't get together for 6 months. So what do you think it'll look like, Kathy?
Well, I think if we have maybe the documentation for everyone to see at the next board meeting. So again, that'd be the 2020 strategic plan achievements report. And then maybe just even attaching the last, the 2017, 2018, 2019. So it'll be quite a bit of information to digest, but I didn't know if we wanted to do some sort of breakout session. I know with Frank and Lloyd on the governance committee, we've accomplished a lot when we work together in a smaller group and then bring it forward. If we start with that legacy doc and rolling up the 4 years together, and then sort of getting that is on the February or maybe even March, that piece, just so it's not too, you have to be able to digest the information from 2020 before you can start working on the whole thing. And then by March, we really have a starting point of, okay, here's the legacy document. This is what we've accomplished with the last strategic plan. And what's our next steps? Are we setting up virtual focus groups? Are we bringing in the staff team for the first step? You know, almost project-based.
Yeah, for sure, because things are looking certainly differently within the building now. And of course, the first item on that achievement will be occupying a new library.
Right.
But now there's the ability for staff to do, I presume, do more because of the way that the space is laid out. It'd be very interesting to hear what staff has in mind, not just ourselves, but I'd really like to hear from the staff on their strategic plan.
Yes, and I think we talked about it that sort of at the last meeting, that I think my goal would be, certainly from the CEO's perspective, is not to have the strategic plan look like every other, like be very community focused and for the municipality of Meaford and what that looks like. And so if you picked up the document, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you could put Blue Mountains or Owen Sound or Grey Highlands and over top of it and not know the difference. So I think that's sort of where I was getting at with those, I think those three sort of, not pillars, but that Frank mentioned earlier, are about the intellectual, the social, the physical, you know, and how the library fits that. So I think it's a super exciting time because we have the building now. So it's open. Yeah,
we can focus on different things. Very good. All right, we'll look forward to that report. Any questions on that?
Just want to know the process, the governance committee, how do we get involved? I mean, we have to put this together. So is there a process? Do we have some dates, meetings, activities?
Just through Mike, if it's okay, through the chair, I can reach out to you after Frank and Lloyd, and maybe I can send you just the 17, 18, 19 achievements as a starting point.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to me that we can start doing some exercises, stop continuums, see what we don't want to do, what we want to continue to do, what we want to do in the future. There's processes that we can start to go through with the information that we already have.
I guess I would almost differ. I mean, I think in our minds, we know what we've done. I think we need to know what the staff and what our clients would like to see before we start thinking about what we're going to drop or what we're going to change. To me, that's the challenge, and that's what's going to slow it down. But that's just my opinion.
Well, maybe that's the segue into the plan, Lloyd.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the segue into the plan, is to find out, as part of the plan, find out what people are looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, totally. That's my point. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think if you were looking for something next steps, I mean, it's getting everybody, including Frank and I, up to speed on the past, and then start arranging some Zoom meetings, trying to get input.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, maybe I didn't explain it properly, but what I was thinking is if we pull the strategic plan documents, the 4 documents together into a legacy, it's one summarized piece of what we have completed. You know,
Sure. Yep.
Then from there, I think the board would need to decide what's our next steps. Is it bringing in the focus groups? Like, all it's basically saying is this is our history document, but it's not saying anything about what we're going to do. You know.
So back to Frank's point, then maybe before the next meeting, we can have a quick governance committee meeting, and we'll try and lay out the steps, the process that we'd like to see, and we can present that to the board at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Like that. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, we can all use that as an example of, you know, the process.
Yeah.
Ross, I see you. Hit your button.
So this is a dumb question, you know, from a real green guy. But I was trying to explain to a former Sydenham ratepayer this week, you know, why he should let me give him a tour of our library and why he should at least look at it. And he said no. But in the meantime, what I understand is that the Sound Library, you know, it's a regional library, and it has, you know, served its purpose for a long time. And I imagine that you could take the Owen Sound Library, the Meaford Library, the Thornbury Library, and the Flesherton Library, and imagine each having just a little different direction, thrust, you know what I mean? And I'm unaware what that thrust is. And I'd be very interested to know that. And then I just give you one suggestion. What differentiates the Meaford Library is that it is, right at the center of town and extremely accessible now. And so it's like a gathering place. And I think that that's something that would be one of the strategic priorities, to be Urban Meaford's gathering place, maybe, or something like that. But I would be interested in knowing what and I'm talking largely about the collection when I say that, what the thrust, and I know like we're sort of all things to all people. We have a children's department and we serve seniors and we serve, high school students and so on. But beyond that, what is, the driver for our library and how it fits with the others? And I'll shut up. Thanks.
Well, you hit on the exact point that I think is something that gets missed, and is that libraries, no matter where they are for all people. You just go to whichever one you want to go to. We're there for you. And if you don't want to come into ours, that's fine. Go to a different one. But they're there for everybody. We're not here for just Meaford people. We accept people from anywhere. And I'm sure the others would as well. So it isn't about limiting to a community. It's limiting to whoever wants to walk in the door. That's just my 2 cents.
That said, if I may, though, I hope that I will need a reason to go to the Owen Sound Library, because it would be something that I couldn't get at the Meaford Library. And similarly, it would be nice to know that I could go to Thornbury if there was something that I'm not going to get in Owen Sound and Meaford. And it's as I say, it's just a basic thrust. For one thing, I'm sure we will have a larger collection of Meaford authors and Meaford subjects in our library than you would find in Thornbury's or Flesherton's. And maybe there are other things, like I don't know, but that's.
Well, that's a really great question for the ladies in the top left corner, because, and Frank, of course, Frank, from your time over in the Owen Sound Library, the things that are available there that aren't available here, and vice versa. Yeah, Ross, you'll find that wherever you go. It's just different.
If I can add, my wife and I are perfect examples, because we use both libraries regularly. There are certain things that we can't get at Meaford, unfortunately, but there are other things that we can, and we are constantly at both of them.
That's an incredible spokesperson we have right with among us people. So we need to get Lloyd elevated on the podium.
Right.
One thing that we will have that the others maybe don't have is our parquet in the summer.
Yeah,
That could certainly be something that could be a huge draw.
truly.
Absolutely.
It's a great draw. Owen Sound has a parquet across the road and a river, so they're not dissimilar. But you're absolutely right, Nancy. But you don't have to cross the roads. The kids are safe getting there, and then sit around the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all part of the strategic plan, and those points that you brought up, everybody, they can form our parts of our new strategic plan.
Yeah.
Anything further on that? All right, I will move along to item 6.1, the treasurer's report. I need a mover and a seconder to put that on the table. And this is where you stick your hands up. Okay, Kim and Ross.
I have a question.
Good.
There was an accident, paying for an accident at, this is just being nosy, at Trowbridge and Sykes for about $1,300.
Sorry, Nancy, what was it?
A vehicle accident, is that what it says? Something near the end, maybe like page 3 or 4. An incident at Trowbridge and Sykes.
Do you know if was it the December one or the January one? I didn't even see that.
I don't know.
Was it for a window?
What did it say, Nancy?
Maybe it's for the window replacement?
I should have written it down because I only have this one apparatus, this one computer right now. I don't even have a phone to look it up.
Oh, this one's so blatant.
I say window.
Is that the broken window?
It didn't say window. But maybe that's what it was referring to.
I think we're all looking, so just hang in there while we look through here.
Sure.
Near the end.
Well, you see my name on here a lot.
I didn't see that. I think sometimes this is one of those ones where, you know, we chatted about like, well, they'll add the building ones to it too. So I just want to make sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, can we just go find that, Nancy, and clarify that to everybody, rather than all of us looking through here trying to figure it out?
Okay.
If that's all right.
Okay.
No, it's a good point. Anybody have any other questions other than that, which will be clarified, and if it needs to be adjusted, to be adjusted on a future statement? Everybody all right with that?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a question.
Good. Go for it.
There was a Parks and Rec management certificate. I think Kathy Lee got it. Congratulations, must be in order. There was a $1,892.75. I just want to know what that is.
Yeah, so it actually isn't a course until this upcoming quarter. So it basically, it just runs for about 4 months, and it will show it's anything that would have to do with outreach, with programming, with the physical side of what libraries can do, you know, with Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And that, are you required to take that because we have a park?
No, it's no requirement at all. Yeah, no, it's just basically it supports, you know, the actual, like how libraries fit in with recreation, but this one is more specific to that.
Well, that's good. All right. Any other questions on that? Okay. Let's call the question. All in favor of receiving that report? And that's good. Carried. Thank you. Do you have any correspondence, ladies?
None. No, sorry, Mike.
Okay. No public sign in, so we don't have any public questions. Would that be accurate?
Nope. No, we didn't have any questions or anyone wanting to sign in for the meeting either. We thought it was Mandy, but no.
Sorry.
Item 9.1, and I wrote a couple of things down here on a piece of paper. There was a question last week about will the library budget continue to show the prior building as a budget item, and the answer is until the old library is disposed of, it remains as an asset to the municipality as a library, and will remain there unless the municipality, for example, if it's disposed of in 2021, it will disappear. If it does not get disposed of in 2021, then it will leave the library budget and become a municipal asset. Yes, Ross, press your button.
I guess my question is, and Harley, you jump in here. My understanding is that as soon as practicable, it will be occupied by some department of the municipality, because they're going to, you know, be renovating the is it 102 Trowbridge Street, whatever the address is. So I just don't know why the library should pay the freight for if it becomes municipal offices.
So 21 Trowbridge is getting renovated?
It's in the budget, so it's no secret.
Okay.
Now, whether it will happen or not depends on a lot of things. There's lots of balls in the air, they're juggling, but sooner or later, they're going to have to, you know, renovate that if it is going to be our maintenance. So all I'm saying is I can see the library footing the bill for this building for some time into the future, even if it's used for a different purpose.
Well, it was straight from the treasurer that said, if it's the municipality's intent to sell it and fund the new library, then it will disappear. If it's not going to be sold, then it becomes a municipal asset and off our books. Councillor Harley. Press your button.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, backtracking a bit, there has been a resolution passed that the former library would go up for sale and the proceeds would go towards the debenture of the new library. And that's still on the books. But Ross is very much correct. And of course, here again, everything is basically up in the air, but no, there is substantial funding in the 2021 budget to do renovations in the existing admin building. There is some internal, some external. And yes, if that indeed happens, and right now I think the only thing holding those renovations up are the current pandemic situation. Some senior staff from the admin office are likely going to be housed over in the old library. So we've got a couple of things on hold. Certainly the sale of the former library, that appears to be on hold. How far we get along with the construction at the existing admin building, that's a question mark right now. But basically, both of those things are out there, have been approved, and whichever one happens first or doesn't happen at all, at least not in 2021, we're just gotta, I think, wait and see.
And Nancy can perhaps confirm, but I believe I heard the mayor on the open line this week say that probably the staff would from the municipal office would be moving into the old library during a renovation. I think she made a reference to that.
All of that's fine. And again, just to clarify that, the library board doesn't actually control who owns what piece of property. We don't own the building we're in. We're really just here to facilitate services by our awesome staff. So if the municipality wants to keep the building, and it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But it would be nice to have the debt gone, but I think everybody in town feels the same way. So if the town's going to renovate 21 Trowbridge and use the library, the old library, in the meantime to facilitate that and then perhaps move out, well, that's not a bad idea either. Kim?
I'm just trying to clarify here. So when you're talking, you're saying it's the budget for the library includes the expenses for the old library building. Is that what we're?
It's still a library building, and it's still on the line item of the library.
Okay.
And apparently it will remain there.
But money is not coming out of the budget that would go towards this library. Like if they're going to use it, they're going to have to pay for it. They're budgeting, or it's in there. It's not taking money away from our present.
It doesn't reduce our ability to operate. Our budget is our budget.
Okay.
If it costs more for them to do something over there, it doesn't affect our salaries, our purchases, or any of those items that Kathy has to deal with. It just, it's a flow through, and it's just the way they do things.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Mike, I think that's where we're getting in with, I think right back to what Councillor Greenfield noticed, the first $1 million treasurer report, and I almost had a heart attack. It's the same thing. Like, it seems to be the treasurer's report. I may need to discuss with Darcy how they can roll it up, because it seems odd to me that the library board's approving pieces that are beyond our budget, like that whole thing. And even this accident thing that we just found that Nancy saw, and a lot of the other pieces they don't have to do with the library. Even sometimes it has to do with the actual facility itself, which is a different budget and a different managed by Darcy, not myself. So it's hard that the library board's even approving. I can talk to you about if there's a possibility of packaging that treasurer's report differently, or if there's a different way to manage like what our budget would be. I mean, maybe if it is a flow through, like you said, Mike, it just needs to, if they can do it separately. It seems to be by date and time, so I don't know how they could do that with their system.
I think the error that, the shoving and
I think if the council and the treasurer would get on the same table and we wouldn't get two different answers, it would probably be easier to understand, because I got today a different answer than what councilors are telling me. So whatever happens, happens. It does not diminish our operational budget. Is that okay, Ross? Press your button.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm going to stop, talking about this for good. But after this, but I just people are watching the library budget. People think the library is too expensive, and so if we're going to be having two buildings for the next year, you're going to see people are going to start to complain about library operating costs as well as library capital costs. I don't think it's fair. That's all.
Okay, Ross, your point is then it's the optics.
Yeah.
So the messaging we're sending out to people who wish we'd never spent a dime on a new library. Okay, I'll follow up with the people on that, staff particularly. Thanks, Ross. Okay, I gotta find that thing again. Okay. I had something else. So I was just going through some previous, and there's a couple of things. I was encouraged by the increase in memberships, and the numbers were, I think, 150 in the last report, and I'm sure they're higher again. Not sure what the numbers are now, Kathy. If you have them, that's fine. If you don't, I wanted to ask that. I noted you just spoke of being able to call from your telephone in your office, so it shows up at Meaford as Meaford Library. So we still have phone issues in the building?
We are all set up now with the phone. It is the 3500 number. It calls everyone's phone. So there's no individual extensions anymore. So if you actually call 519-538-3500, there's no more going through the municipality to hit a number to find the library, which has been really great for patrons. They can dial through directly. You can still dial the 1060 number and it will come just to the circulation desk, just the main desk here when you hit for the library. But the nice thing is we're really starting to change over all of our marketing so that there's just that one direct phone line that people can call. And we find it's much easier, and we're all able to pick it up to help. So it doesn't usually ring more than twice before a library staff member picks it up.
Okay, so could I then take from that that you're happy with the way the phone system's working?
Yes, I think we've all been really happy. It's been a bit difficult for anyone leaving individual messages, like if they actually wanted to talk to Amy about the tax program or to Lynn about interlibrary loan, but everyone takes the messages and passes it on. And of course we get right back to someone. So there hasn't been any issues there.
Great, thank you. I wanted to also suggest and have input on the idea, because just last week, or when the new provincial order came down to lock down, that staff had to then come up with a schedule again for operations. And those lockdowns have a finite time attached to them, but they are potentially extended. And I'm wondering, would it be the will of this board to allow staff to extend the regulations as the province comes down with regulations, rather than asking us if we need to? We pretty well know how they do things. Do we need to be asked every time? Do you folks want to be asked every time how those hours of service will be affected should the province come out with another extension? Open for discussion.
Sounds to me like that's an operational thing that the staff could do. As governance, we just say, just go ahead and do it. Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be different stages or situations. But I think if you look at the most basic ones, the red level, the gray level, the new lockdown policy or restrictions, and develop your hours for each of those, then that's all we have to approve. And whatever the situation is, those hours have already been determined, and it's totally up to the staff to make the changes.
So you'd be okay with staff just advising us of the hours rather than putting out a question, waiting for all the replies to say, go ahead?
I think so. If we knew if we knew in advance that if there's a total lockdown, the library's locked down. If there's a lockdown similar to today, then these are the hours. If we go back to an orange situation, then these are the hours. We go back to yellow. These are the hours. We know that beforehand. Then if there's a change, let the staff lets us know there's a change and this is the new hours, and that's all we need to know.
Okay, Kathy and Lynn, it sounds like the way that it can proceed is you just change the hours as you need to and let us know. You don't need to pull.
And I'm apologize for the last one, because we were really having a hard time trying to find a document that said whether libraries still fit within the essential service, I guess, essentially, because, and I'm on a Medium Public Libraries listserv, and I mean, everybody from Newmarket to, like, people were reading into the gray areas. There just wasn't that document until I sent you that link that said libraries were still fitting. I mean, it sounded like stay at home meant stay at home, like no one was going out without. And I even think for the first few days, we were like, do we need letters for staff? Like, if they're driving to work, do we have to have a letter to show that they're essential? Like, everybody was really scrambling. And we've sort of did the same thing under orange, yellow, or red. It's probably the most difficult time for us to be able to plan ahead, so, or just even to have those, if A happens, if B happens, if C happens,
Right.
So it was hard. Like, it was just, do we lock it down? And I know Sabrina from Blue Mountains called me and said, are you, like, we're thinking of closing. Are you staying open? We don't want to be the only library in the region closing. Like, they were fully going to close. Thornbury had called patrons to tell them to come pick their books up because they were closing on Thursday. And until we all saw that document, everyone stayed open.
Yeah, well, it's a very challenging and confusing time, but I think the consensus here is that this board believes you know what you're doing and you do it best. So we'll just let you do that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And we struggled with the 6 p.m. closing time, but when I saw the staff changeover and 4 people all standing in behind the circulation desk to sort of do that switch, I thought, geez, we either make someone work 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., the buddy system and the partners, or we close at 6 and they can do a 10 to 6 shift. So, I think we're rolling into sort of what I was going to talk about, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm done with my report. Those are the few questions I had. So you can roll ahead on with yours, Kathy.
Yeah, no, thank you. So the first thing I wanted to do was just make sure that, like you said, Mike, formalize the hours on the agenda. I think even if we move ahead and make those changes and advise the board of, whether it's lockdown or whatever it is, I think it's important to put it on the agenda, even for historical purposes for all of us. But, just so that there's some sort of paperwork to follow, like form following function type thing. So we'll know what's happening.
Okay.
So,
you can do that too. You can just let us know and then it'll go in the minutes.
Yeah, so that we put a recommendation on there about this curbside hours and closing at 6 instead of 8 on Tuesday, Thursday, but everything remains the same. I hope that's okay for the board. A resolution.
Yeah, so we'll need a mover and a seconder for that recommendation resolution to adapt those hours as set up by the provincial regulations. So we'll need a mover and seconder to get that on the table for Nancy and Kim, all in favor? And that's carried.
So thank you, Mike. Beyond that, I circulated that safety plan to everyone. Thank you for your feedback on that. We worked with Sean Morphy, who's Municipality of Meaford HR representative just after that. He also gleaned some of our information for the municipal one. So it was nice to know we were on track. That was part of one of the requirements to have for the province, that you had that safety plan in place. Yeah. So we put that through. this is probably the biggest operations update I've had for you in a while. So I just, you know, we minimized the staff that were on site, like I just mentioned, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we have done the buddy system. Obviously, Lynn and I are buddies, you know, so, but even for the front desk, we've really minimized who your working partner is so that we can follow the recommendations and the regulations from the province as much as we can to minimize staff on site. We're not entirely sure about whether there'll be a possible extension past mid-February. So I think if we can just continue, I mean, we were so pleased to be able to offer curbside service. We've had phone calls from parents requesting curriculum materials for, you know, the other day it was a grade 4 project for Haida Kwai, and, you know, so they've certainly, curbside service is being used. People are coming out of the house for library books. So for example, this morning we in 3 hours, we had 16 people. And from what I understand from Lori and Ashley, this was a quiet day. So I think that's still a pretty good number in a 3-hour period of people who are coming to take books out. Yeah. So curbside has been steady. We've been busy compiling a lot of data for the overdue report that the board has talked about. We're hoping to bring that back to you in May. With the last resolution, you'll note in the minutes, it takes it until the end of April for the overdues and loss or fines. So Lynn had pulled some guesstimate numbers for December and January, just to sort of give you, you know, something to think about. Yeah. I don't know if you want to give it to them, Lynn, or if you... Oh, okay, so yeah, so she pulled in December. We only had $15 for a damaged material, but yet we waived $503.57 in fines for the month of December. And then in January, we had $20 for a lost book that was replaced, someone paid, but we waived $818.73 in fines. And that's just in January so far. So we're at the 20th today. Now it could be because of the stay-at-home order, there's a lot more people phoning. Like, it's unbelievable. Some days Lynn and I talk about it feels like a call center in here, you know, just to help people renew their membership or get onto an e-resource or put holds on books or renew their books. So obviously there's been a lot more people who aren't willing to leave the house too, or would like to renew. And a lot of folks have been renewing the Wi-Fi hotspots. And Lynn's had some really heartfelt emails from families who are just so appreciative of the fact that we can actually get them connected to their schoolwork. So
Yeah.
Pretty pleased about that. So, and I think beyond that, you know, curbside bell doesn't stop for us. So we're really happy about that. We've put new books in all the window fronts. So there's window shopping for anybody walking by. And we're just trying to do the best we can.
And there's more fines waived.
Doing an awesome job.
Oh, sorry. There's more fines waived in January than December because because you're always 3 weeks ahead. The December circulation was amazing. It was higher than December of 2019. So that's why the fines waived was greater in January, because more books went out. So more books to waive fines for.
So it almost looks like overdue fines could be a profit center.
I think the board's really going to need the full report from the first quarter before they can make an informed decision. But we did talk about, you know, if the revenue is lost in the fines, could it be made up with some of the meeting rooms? And I know we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later in the governance and policy. I know that we've really been wanting to look at the meeting room policy. So that's Frank and Lloyd are going to be working with Lynn and I a lot over the next month or so, but maybe some of the revenue can be made up there. But so just keep an eye out for May for that overdues report. I just got word that Collingwood has, it's official that they've stopped all of their overdue fines as well. So, and Nadia from Owen Sound had mentioned that they had stopped, and I know Frank gave us this update, but it hasn't really been advertised yet. But it was interesting to see Collingwood's actually advertised it formally, permanently.
Wow. All right, well, we'll have something to talk about. That's over $1,300 right there.
So the last thing that I just wanted to mention, if that's okay, Mike, is that we all know that Lori Lettingham, we were very see her go to Bruce County. She was telling us that the Bruce County Library System has 70 employees. So it's the same size as the municipality of Meaford sort of employees just in their library system, which is interesting. But of course, they span such a wide geographical area. So if you're looking to say hello to Lori, she's at the Southampton and Port Elgin branches. And she is actually the branch manager and reports directly to the deputy CEO for Bruce County. So we were sad to see her go, but very happy. You know, it's about the same distance from her home, and we're super happy that she was able to move on and get a position, you know, the next step that she wanted to look at for her career.
Yeah, that's a great career move for her, and she'll be an asset for them for sure.
Yeah, so having said that, just a very high level operations perspective, because I'm sure the board is interested. The full-time team has picked up, there's been some capacity there, as you know, with us not being able to run the same level of programming, obviously with not having the same people in the building. So at this point, you know, my recommendation is to definitely not post any type of position right away. I think we really need to figure out, you know, we need to get through COVID first. And there is capacity in all the job positions here right now with COVID. So people have been willing to put their hand up and take on some of the duties that, you know, Lori has left. She left a big gap for us, but we certainly are able to maintain that workload so far. And I think when we get closer to the spring, we're really going to be able to see at the same time we had COVID, we also had a new facility. So we're going to be able to see maybe what a 7-day operation looks like, maybe where our gaps are, and what type of position we'd be looking at filling.
Yep, good. Yeah, I figured it would take some time for us to figure it out, especially with the COVID lockdown. Okay, thanks for that. Any questions there, folks? Kathy? No. Seeing none, we'll move along to 9.3 committee reports. So 9.3.1 Souls Trustee Council Rep Report. Kim?
I haven't had a meeting since our last board meeting, but our next meeting is scheduled February 5th. And I haven't really heard anything. All's been quiet. That might be a good thing. I'm not sure. I know that the staff have been very busy, you know, facilitating with public libraries, interpreting all the COVID responses. And we do have a meeting scheduled in April as well. So look forward. The meeting on February 5th is Barb Franchetto, who is the sole was the sole CEO. It's her last meeting. She will be retired as of that. So at the end of the meeting, which is kind of fun, we are doing a second little wine and cheese meeting to Zoom meeting to say goodbye and thank her for everything that she's done.
Well,
that's all.
That's good. Thank her from us for all of her efforts. I'm sure all the libraries have benefited as a result of her efforts. Thanks, Kim. And 9.3.2 Governance and Policy Committee. Gents, do you have anything further?
Not at this stage.
No.
No. Fundraising Committee, anybody want to talk about that?
Sorry, Mike, just before you move on to governance and policy, I think we wanted to note that we'll be reaching out to Frank and Lloyd, hopefully about the meeting room policy and working on that. And then another request actually that we had, another idea for the team meeting was puzzles being added to the collection. So we have this library of things chart sort of going now in our membership and circulation policy. The same rules would apply as far as the loan period and the fines. And it was really about, is it okay with the board that we add that? Do we just advise you we've added something? It was the same sort of question Mike asked earlier, because we thought, do we take this policy, we just approved this revised policy, but we thought puzzles might be a nice addition to, especially right now, COVID. So
are you going to put a GPS tracker on all the chips so that when there's a lost one, we can find the bit?
I said no puzzles over 1,000.
Exactly. I don't know if any of you know Jody Seeley, who is our museum coordinator, and her kids gave her a puzzle for Christmas. And the pieces are so small, she has to use tweezers to move them.
Oh my God.
I think it was kind of a mean gift. but she every once in a while shows her progress. She's been at it since Christmas, and she was only a third done because it's just these itty bitty pieces. So anyway, that was kind of tongue in cheek about the GPS, but you know what, if puzzles are not a whole lot of money, but I think it's kind of a cool idea. It gives people an alternative. Yeah, Kim, do you have an idea?
I think you're spot on, Kathy, because from probably December to now, well, before we had this past lockdown, at our store, we got in like an 8-foot section of puzzles, and they just disappeared off the shelf. People are doing puzzles like crazy.
Yep, Lloyd?
So just as a comment, I'm not sure if you need to actually ask our approval for stuff like that, Kathy. To me, adding puzzles to the list is just like adding another book to the bookshelves.
Okay, great. We weren't sure because it was a new collection. So we were, you know, a collection, I guess.
Yeah.
I think things like that you're fine.
Will you take donations, Kathy?
Well, and we were actually, that would be our next call out. A lot of people will finish a puzzle they don't want to do it, but it's been so gently used and in beautiful shape. We will absolutely take donations.
All right.
I'm going to let everybody know at work.
Yeah.
So what Lloyd is saying is why you would ask is puzzling. All right.
Very good. Very
How am I
good.
going to catalog that?
I know you've missed it. Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. Fundraising committee. That's where we were.
Oh, yes,
is there-
We have
Sorry,
nothing to
Lisa,
add. We haven't
one
been
thing
able to
that
meet.
was
We
asked.
haven't done a virtual meeting.
I know we just we renewed the membership and circulation policy last meeting. And I just, you know, because we're adapting and changing to COVID, right now under the circulation policy, patrons can put up to maximum of 5 holds per item type. So that means like 5 new movies, 5 movies, you know, 5 kits, that type of thing. But I find now because, you know, somebody might be, how can I say that? 5 is not enough because homeschooling, they're reading more. So we find that we have to override that. So I would like to bump up those rules to 10 with your permission, just during COVID. So that they're able to, you know, put holds through the online catalog, you know, 10 movies, 10 new movies, and that sort of thing.
Okay, so what's the downside to that?
There is no downside. I want the stuff out the door.
Okay, I get it because we like to see it in the circulation numbers, but when somebody comes in to look for a movie and somebody has walked out with 10 and they couldn't get one that they wanted because somebody had 10, is that fair?
During COVID, I don't see it as a downside because people can't browse. Like most people take movies out because they come in and they physically browse. So I find that bumping it up to 10, will be better for our circulation.
So Lloyd, I know that you were nodding. Can you comment?
Well, I had the same questions. I was a little concerned. I mean, are we going to run out of stuff?
There's 20 movies, we will not.
Okay. as long as you're comfortable that we're not going to run out of stuff, and like Mike said, people are, you know, I guess if somebody shows up and if there's a hold on a hold on a hold and if the hold list gets too long, I don't know. I guess that you know that better than us.
Yeah, no. I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a plus.
Fair enough.
And Lynn and I had this discussion and we did talk about it a bit, but I don't think it's going to be every patron that's going to do that. I think it's a very select few folks that are really, they're traveling out of the house once and then they're not coming back up for 2 or 3 more weeks, you know? So I think that, I think that's kind of,
And the holds are getting past the limit for the people homeschooling. So they're taking them out for their kids, and that's where the problem is lying. It's not really for movies, it's for juvenile books have mostly been the problem the last 2 weeks. So
Why don't we think about allowing this provisionally, and we're saying during COVID, so that really, with any luck, that's 6 months before we've all been able to get vaccinated, and then revisit it. Everybody okay with that?
and sorry, Mike, just if I could add, I think the easiest way to explain it is if they were in the facility, they could take out 10 books, no problem. You know, they could take out 10 junior books or 10 adult books or 10 or 50 books, you know, but when you place holds, you can only place 5 holds. So that's what the difference is. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
good clarification. Well, all right.
Yeah.
I think we have agreement, Lynn.
Thank you. I'll change all those fine rules, so those holds rules. So thank you.
When we have bare shelves, we'll rue the waiving of fines. We need that
Not
later.
gonna happen. I buy books. When it goes out, I get
It's a plot.
That's great.
Maybe we need to divert some of these funds from fundraising into stock. I'm kidding again.
Yeah, so just a quick update on that, Mike. I know you asked. Obviously, no meetings, obviously, no events, unfortunately, but the current fundraising total is just over 880,000.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Kathy. I saw that. And the reason I was going to push on that is because I was going through the last minutes, and between the start of the agenda and then the final report, it had gone from 842, 947 to 845. It went up $3,000 in one report. And then it jumped up by another 35,000, 34,000 by a month. So next time we hear from the friends of, it may even be over 9. That would be fantastic. Okay. Member council report. You gents want to speak to all the fun you've been having?
Yeah, sure. Mike. Well, we are back to virtual meetings again. We have one. And we finally finalized the 2021 budget. The increase has been fixed at 3.43% for well over a month now. And I'm not sure if Ross has heard anything from the county or not, but we're hoping the county will help to ease that number somewhat when they set their budget. We did spend a lot of money at this meeting. We approved financing for two rural bridges, repair work on 2 rural bridges, both in the former St. Vincent, and also engineering costs for a bridge out south of Bogner. Rather deceivingly long bridge. It's about 45 feet long, and it doesn't look that way, but it's going to be a costly venture. Speaking of Bogner, the Bogner Community Center is currently under renovation. A sizable interior renovation there out at Bogner to bring that hall up to more modern convenience and comfort. We're looking at a couple of major construction projects in the urban area this year. One on Highway 26, just from Collingwood Street west, a couple of blocks. That will help us upgrade sewer and water works. The wastewater piping out there is it dates back to the 1890s, so it does need some work done on it. That's going to be a major job. That will involve some detouring of, maybe not detouring, but certainly traffic controlling while that project is on the go. And we've also approved the rebuild of what is known as the Nelson Street Booster Station. Now, right now, the Nelson Street Booster Station is a little 12 by 12 concrete structure, basically at the front of John and Mark Acres House. That facility is going to be moved over to near the water tower, so across Nelson Street. And again, this is a big project, a $2.7 million project, and it's going to involve some traffic concerns on the Nelson Street Hill. So there's going to be some driver and pedestrian inconvenience in the urban area this year, but both are jobs that are overdue. They need to be done. We have arranged the financing for them. The project out in Highway 26, we did get a substantial grant, which will help with that. The Nelson Street Booster Station is primarily user fee responsibility, and Ross may want to mention that our user fees for both water and wastewater are increasing by 8% this year. That's on top of a number of 6% increases the last few years. Those increases don't make us at council happy, but they seem necessary. And even going back to the 3.3% increase on the budget doesn't make us happy, but some consolation. We started at 8.7, so we did get it down considerably. I've said enough. Ross, get in here, help me.
Okay, Harley, the one thing I will say, I don't know from having been at the council meeting, but from reading the news that the county is talking about adding 1% for affordable housing. And so that 1% could be that, you know, the 1% that would bring us down from 3.43%. Couple of things. The transportation master plan, there's a public meeting on that starting at 6:30 tonight. And then next Monday, there's also a public planning meeting on development charges. All of which brings us to the point that just Meaford is going to be bursting at the seams very soon. And I think we've just got the library on time. and I think you're going to see some amazing growth in the very near future. Thanks.
Thanks, fellas. Do either of you gentlemen know about the timing for the Sykes Street and the Nelson Street booster, when that work will be done? I'm thinking about the calendar, and then I'm also saying, okay, if they're going to divert traffic from Nelson down Collingwood, now on Collingwood, you get to Sykes and you'll be diverted again. But if you try to go over Cook, well, the MCS school is coming down, you could be diverted there. So what about timing? How is this going to work?
They're going to overlap.
Yeah.
And the pumping station is a very long project. It will be, do you remember, Harley? I think it's, you know, the best part of a year.
The pumping station, it could be as long as 14 or 15 months. Now that's not saying Nelson Street Hill is going to be closed or restricted somewhat to traffic for that long, but likely could be 3 to 4 months. There would be traffic tie-ups there. The highway, again, it's going to proceed this spring, and traffic maybe 2 or 3 months affected there. So
I think if it's supposed to start in the spring, and the if you go with keeping a lane open on Sykes Street, it will take until I think it is November. However, it could be done by the end of August if they're allowed to block Sykes Street completely, like have a complete detour. And that's going to be a decision for council in the very near future.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one for the downtown retailers, but you know that slowing of traffic isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've got retailers, restaurants in particular, who put up the cafes on the sidewalks. And if you don't have big trucks going by, it actually is a nicer environment. So if you've just got cars and directing the big transports around, well, it's almost more pleasant to sit out there. So
As
that
long as
might
they're
work
not
out.
going through residential areas.
Well, it's going to dry. They'll be back on Ridge Road again, no doubt, where Ivan's been chewing it up here for a couple of years. But that's one thing. And then I was going to ask a question because I noticed there's pre-consultation or consultation about the former Stanley Knight property that appears to have been bought by Skyline, which is a big developer of the city. Do you know anything? Can you share anything about that?
There is a public meeting on that that they are hosting themselves. And do you have the date? I think I've got it, but I'd have to go and look here. It's in the very near future.
Yeah, I just noticed it and it came to mind when you were talking. I can find it as well. I was just very curious about it because it talks about mixed use. And of course, there'd been a plan of having a hotel down there and other residential beside it. So I will attend that meeting.
I have one piece of good news about that because I've discussed it with our CAO, and Meaford owns the shoreline.
Yes, actually, I was aware of that. We have a rail line along there, which is intended, and it was in the waterfront master plan for that to be a walking trail. And
Harley gave me that tip. That's right. That's where that came from.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for that. I suppose we'll just keep on keeping on. The CAO also told me that MCS will be coming down next month. The commencing of the demolition. Yeah. Yeah, lots going on, Ross. You're quite right about that, saying we are going to be inundated. And that, of course, brings up the whole question of where are we going to put the wastewater, because we have a problem there. So there's going to be some other initiatives on that. Anyway, that's beyond the purview of this board. Thanks, gentlemen. I'm going to move on unless there's any questions on that. I want to move on to 9.5, Friends of Meaford Library Park. We have report. We don't have Elaine, so I think we'll move over that on to 9.6 and the Owen Sound North Green Public Library update. Frank, if you have something.
Just the fact that they're COVID-19 and we're trying to get by and do the job, and there's no real report here. It's just the same.
They're in the same boat as we are. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the agenda, you will see the 2021 Library Board meeting schedule. You will note that, well, let's get it on the table here. I need a mover and a seconder so that we can talk about it. And I nick a hand. There's Harley and Lloyd, and all in favor of getting this on the table. Ross has disappeared, but that's fine. We have carried that. We are required to have 7 meetings, I believe, but there are 9 on the schedule, so that allows us, in case we miss the odd one. But there it is for information. So any questions about that? No? All in favor of that schedule? Hands up. Yep. That's carried. 10.2, Ontario Library Association membership renewed. That'd be a Kathy thing.
Yeah, so just an update that all board members have been renewed for the 2021 year. So this should provide you access to resources through the Ontario Library Association, discounts to any webinars or super conference that they're doing. Frank will be attending this year, so that's great. Sorry, I'm kind of going into 10.3, but if anybody received an email, we share that with the Ontario Library Association as formal board members. So you might get some emails from them here and there about information.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions there? I'll zoom along to, I'll skip 11. We have no need for in camera. And any roundtable discussion from what we have seen or heard, or you just want to talk about? Nancy?
Yeah, what was the explanation about the charge on the treasurer's report with the accident?
If you found it, Kathy or Lynn, we'll talk about it. If not, we'll have to follow up.
Yes, Lynn did find it, but we are going to follow up because even Kim, who's our construction on site here, didn't know what it was. So I'm going to ask Sharon to reverse it. Yeah, clearly it doesn't have anything to do with us. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Nancy.
Thank you.
Anything further? One and all? Okay. Date of the next meeting is February 17th. I presume we'll be at the same place. Unless we get an order that we can get our number. If we get our numbers down, maybe we can meet in the new building again. We got one meeting in there. That's pretty nice, but anything further before I call the meeting adjourned? No, no hands. We are adjourned at 4:30. Thank you, one and all.
Everybody
Thank
stay
you.
healthy and
Thank you,
safe.
Mike.
Stay well.
Take care, everybody. Thanks very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
Excellent, that's good.